What is the state of San Diego market? Hi, my name is Roxanne Govari with Pemberley Realty here in San Diego, California, along with my partner Santiago Guerin.
Hello everyone, how are you? Looking forward to starting this video. We got some what everyone likes, market update. Everyone wants to know what's going on around where they live, and let's get right to it. So, what
Let's
you
get
got
to
for us,
it.
Roxanne?
So, real estate is very, very local. Sometimes you have even within the same city, within neighborhoods, you have different things happening, and demand and supply is different even within a local neighborhood within a city, and that is no different in San Diego than anywhere else. So, I remember a couple of years ago, for example, you would city of San Diego, everything was sitting, and then you moved a little bit further east to La Mesa, and all of a sudden La Mesa was hopping, and that's when the prices started rising, and San Diego had become so unaffordable, and all of a sudden, 15 minutes east, La Mesa had just as many beautiful homes, and all of a sudden for a lot less money. So La Mesa was hot because everybody could get a lot more for their
Yeah,
money. So that's what happens with locales and pricing, right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But enough of that. Let's get into San Diego market and how the market is doing, because it's always very interesting what we think in our head and what we
What the
think we
numbers say?
know. And then you look at the numbers, and numbers tell you something completely different. So it's always very interesting to check and see how it goes. And now we're going to look at four zip codes, and we're going to look at our uh, especially the two areas that we operate, which is 92116, zip code of 92116, where our our University Heights office is at, and then Del Mar 92014, which is our other office
Yeah,
uh, in the North County area
yeah.
is located,
And then
right?
we're also gonna sprinkle in. Is it Carmel Valley that we do?
We're
So
going to sprinkle in Carmel Valley, and we're going to sprinkle in 92103, which is Mission Hills and Hillcrest, in as a comparison. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. So let's go ahead and share,
yeah.
and let's see what we see.
And before
Okay.
before we start pulling up the numbers, what are your thoughts? What are your predictions before we pull them up? And what do you think? With all these news going around with the stock market and tariffs, everyone being a little bit scared. Do you think this would have affected you know the market a little bit?
You know what? I am thinking that it's actually a very interesting market. It's very exciting market for real estate, anyways, because I don't know much about politics. I don't know much about real about the stock market and all that, but I know real estate, and I know it's a really exciting time for real estate. And by that I mean no matter what happens, unless we have, God forbid, unless we have a major catastrophe, a major natural disaster, or we have a major human catastrophe, which would be war, right? If those two factors are not part of the equation, then we really have a robust real estate market, and I don't see that being interrupted anytime soon. Um, if you look at the fundamentals of what's happening in the economy and what's happening with people's lives, you see that we have the mortgage meltdown, and mortgage meltdown was basically because everybody that had a pulse could get a mortgage,
Yeah,
and there wasn't a lot of oversight in terms of who can get a mortgage and whether or not people are qualified. I remember that I had this conversation very vividly. We found a house actually for one of my cousins. We found a house, and it was a beautiful, brand new construction house with a huge yard, and it was nice and modern. And back in those days, in 2008, like right now, we have a lot of modern homes, right?
Yeah.
Back in 2008, it was very rare to see a brand new modern home. So this home was really, really desirable, and it was really, really beautiful. And they really wanted it. And I remember at the time that it was 700,000. So I was talking to the lender, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking at their monthly payment, and it was about like 3,500 a month. And I'm thinking, 7,500 a month is a lot of money. And then I was thinking, can they afford that? And like, look, I'm selling real estate. My job is to basically look and find the property, but it's my job is not really to get into the numbers and find out affordability. That really is the job of the loan officer. And so I call the loan officer, and I'm like, okay, so we found this house, and this is how much I think their payments is going to be, but I'm not going to pry into their financials if they don't want to share. That's the kind of information that you are talking to them about, and you are counseling them about. But this is how much I'm thinking is going to be per month. And I'm like, okay, so how high can they take their loan? And she tells me, oh, they can take it as high as they want. And I'm sitting on the phone, and I'm saying, as high as they want? How does that make any sense?
Yeah.
I thought that you're lending based on how much they can afford, but you're lending based on whatever they want.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of the end, right? As we know it. Actually, this was probably like right before the mortgage meltdown. So, I can't remember exactly what month it was when 2006, when this, basically the bottom fell out of the mortgage market, right? But this was right before, which, by the way, they decided not to buy the house. So I just think of my relief when I was like, oh, yes, they didn't buy the house.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Even if they had bought that house, and so that was 2006, right? And here's if they had bought that house, and assume that they had bought that house for 700,000, right? And if they had held on to that house for 10 years, so 2006 to 2016, they would have still come out ahead.
Yeah.
And that's the reality with real estate. And a lot of the times right now, we're dealing with buyers that are saying, oh, you know what? I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm going to wait, and I'm going to see what happens.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because ultimately, if you look at what happens to the real estate market, and if you go back 10 years, you see that within a 10-year period, real estate goes up about 40%. Okay, so if you're looking at 40% appreciation from 10-year to 10-year, where else can you put your money that you're going to see that much appreciation in 10 years?
Nowhere else. Yeah.
And so it just basically makes sense to put it into real estate, no matter what is happening on the ground. Besides, real estate, if you're buying real estate for investment, that's one thing. But if you're buying real estate to live in, then that's an entirely different thing. You are buying real estate to form a family. You're buying real estate to live wherever you want to live. You buy real estate so that you can put whatever color paint you want to put on the wall. You buy real estate to raise a family. So there's so many different reasons why you buy real estate. And So no matter what the economy is doing at the time, shouldn't really pay that much weight into what the decision that you
Yeah.
make.
Or be scared of,
Or be scared. Or be
yeah.
scared. Exactly. You know what my grandmother used to say?
Nope.
In a real estate transaction, there's two people:
The buyer and the seller.
the buyer and the loser.
That makes sense.
Because think of it this way, there's as far as we know, there's the planet Earth and there's a planet Earth. As much as we've wanted to, go to the stars and go to occupy Mars or whatever else that we want to occupy, we have not been able to do it yet.
Yeah.
So the dirt that we have is the dirt that we have, right?
Yeah.
So that dirt is still the most valuable thing. And if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to wait because I think that I'm going to get it cheaper some time in the future,
Yeah.
most likely you're not going to.
Yeah.
There you go. That's my long-winded answer to whether or not it's the right time to buy.
Yeah. It's always the right time to buy.
It's always the right time to buy. So on that note, we're reviewing numbers for March. So are we ready to share?
Let's go ahead and look at it.
Let's do it. Okay. All right. So let me get this as big as I can get it. There we go. Okay. So the first numbers that we want to look at is 92116, which consists of University Heights, Kensington, and Normal Heights. And for whatever reason, our MLS does not recognize University Heights as important enough to be on this chart, but we're going to call it first, right? Yeah. University Heights, Kensington, and Normal Heights. So yeah. You want to go ahead and interpret some of these numbers for us?
Well, it looks that in March, it didn't have a big change in new listings. It was the same amount as last year. Pending sales, I mean, just one more, which is basically like a 7%. Closed sales, there was six less, so a 33%. So fewer houses closing up in March. Median sales price, that did go up. So
by a lot.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that.
Yeah. That's a pretty big number too.
Yeah, pretty big jump, huh?
Yeah. So let's say days on the market, probably around the same, from 25 to 26, pretty much the same. Inventory of homes for sale, it did go down 6 houses. So that kind of so there has been less houses being sold this month compared to last year. So
yeah, and that may have to do with the fact that the inventory and that the prices actually rose by so much. That may have to do with the fact that inventory is less and less, and that has been one of the stories that we've been seeing. That everybody's scared and everybody thinks that the bottom is falling off, but one of the reasons, at least, that the bottom is not falling off is because of lack of inventory. So if a healthy market, they say, has about 9 months of inventory. So if you're sitting at 2 months of inventory, then that is not really a healthy market by the standards that we used to set. That is basically a severe shortage of inventory if you're only at the supply of 2 months supply.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at townhomes and condos, and go ahead.
Townhomes, more listings, basically almost doubled as compared to last year in townhomes. Prices look like they went down a little bit, 3.6%. Days on the market went down. On this one, it does look like the month's supply of inventory is, pretty healthy on this one, over 161%. So basically, more than doubled on the amount of supply. So that's a pretty good thing for condos and townhomes. So
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
bad on this end. So yeah, so
So
let's
you want to go ahead and
the
explain
graph.
these two parts?
Yeah, let's check in here at the median sales price. It looks like, I mean, it has been going up in the 92116 for the single families. They have been going up compared to the rest of the MLS. On the other hand, for townhomes and condos, they've been, staying pretty much the same for the last couple of years, around that same price range, while the rest of the MLS has been going up, a little bit. So
So for single family homes, seems like the 92116 zip code, the average price, the median sales price of a home in 92116 seems to be a lot higher
yeah,
than the median sales price of a single family home in the San Diego County,
yeah,
which, by the way, I see the median sales price of a single family home in San Diego County looks like it has also risen, because it was just a couple of months ago.
yeah.
It was at about 1 million, and now I would say it's probably at million, maybe million, not quite at 1,000,001, maybe 1,050,000 is where I would say that is,
Yeah.
right? And then with the condo market, the median sales price of a condo in the county of San Diego is about 700,000, whereas 92116 we're at below 600. But I think the reason for that is, we're
Don't we have
basically
smaller spaces here compared to other ones?
we have smaller spaces, and then if you average out, like, coastal markets that have a much higher price, and then since we're looking at the median number,
Yeah,
then you're going to end up at a lot less of a average price for our zip code, because you're mixing everything else, which some of those areas are
yeah,
a lot higher in price, so it's going to push up the median price higher.
yeah.
So let's make a comparison to 92103, and let's see what we see there. Okay, so I'm gonna let you take the lead on this and tell us what you see here.
Well, new listings have gone up compared to last year, a pretty good amount. Median sales price really went up as well too, almost like I would say a little bit under $400,000 more than last year.
Yeah.
Um, Days on the market did go up, basically double, almost double, more than double, to 64 days. That's
Oh,
yeah,
let me go
that's
back and see what in comparison to 92116 days on market. Days on
that's-
market here were only a day, and versus days on market here was double.
yeah,
But here the inventory went from 14 to 23, and here inventory stayed the same. So see how it's supply and demand, right?
yeah,
So here you've got days on market being almost the same as year before,
yeah.
because the inventory stayed the same. Here you have inventory almost double, and so the days on market.
So yeah, so homes were sitting, basically what it's saying a little bit, since there was more properties.
So you know what this also tells me?
Yeah,
What does this also tell you about days on market?
overpriced homes, maybe.
Or maybe less buyers,
That could also be true.
right?
That could also be
Because
true.
because the supply, it seems like the supply doubled,
Yeah,
but uh, the demand didn't necessarily double,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and the price did go up a good amount too.
Price. Now, here's another thing interesting here. So here, price went up by 15%, whereas in 92116, price went up by 20%. So less available inventory, more price appreciation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back and look at the condo market in 9103. Okay, what do you see here?
So new listings and pending sales stayed the same, around the same amount. Closed sales, a few more homes closed. Price did go down compared to last year's, a
Mm-hmm.
little amount. Um, Days on the market went up as well. Days on the market went up as well, 76%, which is a big number.
Mm-hmm.
Inventory of homes for sale did go up a lot more, and the month supply of inventory also is, up. So pretty good. I mean, it's kind of similar to the 92116 zip code on the townhomes and condos.
On the townhomes.
Yeah, with price going down just a little bit, but
Yeah.
the inventory did
Overall,
go up.
overall 5% appreciation year to date. And here you see 7% appreciation, which is very, very close, right?
Yeah.
And you could attribute this to inflation still being at work, because 5 to 7% is essentially the cost of inflation. And that is another thing that I think our buyers need to really be aware of, because even though it looks like prices are not going up, because of the fact that we're dealing with inflation, you're still dealing with the cost going up. So the ones that are saying, I'm just going to fence it, they probably should look at this information and then second guess that decision. Because just because you're being scared and you're thinking that I should wait, then wait. The cost of waiting
It's
is
gonna go up.
basically $60,000,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right? Because inflation is still at work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now let's go for this.
And then
Go
on
ahead.
here, yeah, it looks like the homes, both homes and townhomes are, above average here in the San Diego area. You know,
Mm-hmm.
sales of homes, basically almost right at 1,750,000, and then townhomes a little bit under 800,000, which they're way above the median for the rest of the MLS, which is underneath
Yeah.
700. So pretty
Yeah.
pretty strong numbers for the
Let's
city.
move on to North County, to the luxury market. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and look at it.
All right.
Let's see how that's doing.
So the reason why we say luxury market is because Del Mar is essentially a luxury market that we're dealing with. So it is essentially a luxury market, and we have strong presence by having a local office right at the heart of Del Mar. So if you are thinking of buying or selling in Del Mar, we know the market. We have boots on the ground, and whether you were thinking of selling, working with a local independent broker is definitely to your advantage. And if you're thinking of buying, also working with a local brokerage that is at the heart of everything happening would definitely be very helpful. So reach out to us one way or another,
100%.
right?
Yep.
So
100%.
on that note, let me just share. There's my phone number if you decide to reach out to me. And if you decide to reach out to Santiago, or short for Santi, there is his phone number. You can also reach out to us via our email. You can reach out to us on our website. You can reach out and give us a follow on our Instagram account. You can reach out to us on our Facebook account. So multiple ways of getting in touch with either one of us, and we're happy to help provide information and provide value for you. Okay, now let's move on to 92104, which is Del Mar. So
Yeah.
go ahead,
So
Sandy.
let's get to it. New listings went down. Pending sales did go up a big amount. Closed sales stayed the same. Median sales price went up a pretty good amount compared to last year. So 27% increase. Um, Days on the market went down. So, homes were turning around a little bit sooner. Inventory of homes went down. Months of supply of inventory went down a little bit as well, but it's still over that three mark that we were talking about. So
Right, right.
that's
So
great.
definitely have a little bit inventory in Del Mar than you do in 92116. So you have a little bit more homes available for sale in 92014 versus in 92116. Uh, but here's the ticker. The median sales price of a home in Del Mar, in the zip code of Del Mar, 92014, is at 3.45, so almost $3.5 million. And the median price of a home in 92116 is almost 1.5. So almost basically Del Mar is double what you could get in 92116.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, all right. So let's move on to condos and townhouses.
Yeah. Here, not that many new listings, but a few more compared to last year. Pending
Mhm.
sales stayed the same. Closed sales. On here, the median price did go up compared to the other two, which is pretty weird compared to the other two zip codes that we looked at here. The median price went up 31%. Days on the market, very short, 17 days. Just went up one more day compared to last year. Inventory of home supply. Here, I guess the inventory is a little bit less than there's a lot more in the other zip codes, while here there's a lot less. So it looks like you know people are getting these more than the actual house. That's why there's probably less, I would figure.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's move on to the charts.
Yeah, no, here it's if you look at these charts, these numbers are way above the the MLS numbers, all of the rest of San
Average
Diego.
median sales home
Yeah,
price in
yeah,
in our county,
yeah.
right?
In our county, it just hits it out the park. Home sale price over $3 million. Just townhomes and condos, almost at 1,750,000, which is the price of a home in the other two zip codes. So
Right. And if you think about it, you also have not only you have a price of a condo being at 1,750,000, but you also have HOA fees to pay. So,
yeah,
so actually, if you think about it, you're like above 2 million in terms of out the door costs
yeah,
for the person looking to either buy into a condo or into a house.
completely agree. Completely agree.
Now, let's go a little bit further east. You're still in the luxury market in 92130, but let's look at those numbers because I would say the difference between Carmel Valley and Del Mar is that the stock of houses, you have a lot more, you have a lot newer homes in Carmel Valley than you do in Del Mar, and you also get a lot more space. So price per square foot is a lot more affordable in Carmel Valley than it is in Del Mar.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Okay.
going on here, looks like the new listings went down a pretty good number compared to 40 from last year, 27 this month.
Mhm.
Um, if you look on here, the median sales price did go up 24%, which is pretty good. Um, days on the market, days on market until sale went up a little bit. Inventory of homes for sale 37, so it did go up, and the month supply of inventory did go up a little bit compared to the 1.8 from last year. So pretty good numbers to be a Carmel Valley homeowner.
But think about it. In the entirety of the zip code, only 15 homes closed. That's
Yeah.
not a whole lot of homes,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's not a lot. And it's a
That's
pretty big zip code too.
It's a pretty big zip code with lots of
Lots
homes
of
in it.
homes.
To only have 27 homes be available for sale, that is not a whole lot of homes for sale. And that is essentially why the prices are
Going up.
holding steady.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking, let me fence it, think again, because, even if you thought, okay, I'm going to come into the market and I'm going to be very, very active in finding a home, you may still not find a home, let alone for you to be fence sitting and thinking, oh, I'm going to be scared and not buy because prices are going to fall. I don't see prices falling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, because affordability is an issue, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Affordability is a real issue, but I just don't see prices falling with the supplies that we're having.
Yeah. Agree.
So, okay, let's go for this one. What do you see here?
Yeah. Here on the townhomes, right off the bat, the big number that I see is the median sales price going down. A big number, 33%. Um, it looks like there's a lot more new listings, 27 new listings. So it looks like there's a lot more supply in this, in the townhouse condo, market. Um, and inventory of homes for sale, 31. So
what do you how would you interpret this set of data? Because this is different than what we see in let's look at what we have here. So we see days on market and actually days on market was not that different. Supply and inventory was not that different. You see in the condo market, you still see appreciation, but if you look here, you don't see the same trend. So
yeah.
how do you interpret this data?
Well, it looks like there's a lot more movement in this in the townhome, market. Because compared to last year, if you see the inventory, there was only 8 homes for sale, and then this one, 31. That's pretty big. So it looks like there's been a lot of more condos, townhomes being either made or people are trying to get out of condos. That there's a lot more compared to last year. So
And it also tells you if the supply is increasing, then you definitely see prices decreasing,
yeah,
right? So it basically tells you uh, it's a supply and demand issue that we're seeing. Less homes for sale, prices keep steady. More homes for sales, prices keep falling.
yeah,
So really want prices to fall, we really need to add inventory to the mix,
yeah, mm-hmm.
right?
100%. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. What do you see here?
Here also, I mean, not as skyrocketing as Delmar, but still, high above the rest of the county.
Yep.
Homes, median sale of homes around, I would say 2.6, and then for townhomes and condos, right underneath the million mark. So
Underneath the million mark,
and it's
exactly.
way above the rest of the MLS. So
Yep. All right. Very good. Well, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and I hope that you enjoyed our market update for the month of March.
yeah,
And again, if you're watching us on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so that as we're posting more videos, you're able to see our videos. And if you are thinking of buying or selling here in San Diego or anywhere in the US or anywhere in the world, let us know. We have our connections, we have our network of very qualified realtors that we can put you in touch with for our realtor partners. And if you're trying to reach out to me, there is my phone number. If you're trying to reach out to Santi, there is his phone number. And let's see. We are also available through our team email, which is my email, or through our website. And of course, we appreciate it if you're on Instagram, if you find us and you give us a follow, or if you're on Facebook, send us a friend request, and let's stay in touch. And of course, we always appreciate your referrals and your business. And make it a great day.
Bye, everyone. Hopefully, you guys learned something else, and have a good day.